The first weekend of March Madness is officially behind us, and we are now down to just 16 teams. The tournament has lived up to the hype so far, and wasn't short of any highlights, headlines, and of course, controversy. With 48 games over the span of 4 days, we've got no time to waste. Before we get into the video, if you haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button as it helps my channel reach viewers like you. Without further ado, let's dive into the mayhem. The Blue Jays' 89-75 victory over the Cardinals marked their 5th consecutive opening round win in the NCAA tournament. Creighton's Jemiah Neal led all scorers with a career-high 29 points and 12 rebounds, while teammate Stephen Ashworth added in 22 points of his own. In their first ever tournament appearance, the Panthers were matched up against the Boilermakers. The first half started off close, but High Point had a tough time slowing down Trey Kaufman-Renn, who led all scorers with 21 points and 8 rebounds. Big Ten Player of the Year Braden Smith added in 20 points and 6 assists of his own to give the Boilermakers a 12-point win. Montana, who is entering the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2019, looked to play spoiler against the Badgers, but this dream would soon fade. Wisconsin held Monty Williams, the Grizzlies' leading scorer, to just 8 points on 2 of 8 shooting. Meanwhile, the Badgers had 5 players score in double figures, with Steven Krause' 18 points on 80% shooting leading the way. Wisconsin won this matchup by 19 points and looked to keep this momentum rolling into the second round. This 1 vs 16 matchup was anything but close. Houston's guards Milos Uzan and LJ Cryer led the team in scoring with 16 and 15 points respectively. However, it was the Cougars' defense that stole the spotlight. They held SIU to just 2 of 24 shooting from 3-point range and forced 13 turnovers. Houston not only won the game, but even covered their 28-point spread. Auburn's Miles Kelly led his team with 23 points, including 7 buckets from beyond the arc. His 7 threes tied a program record for most in a tournament game. Forward Janai Broom also got in on the action as he contributed a double-double of 14 points and 11 rebounds. The Tigers rolled away with this one, sending the Hornets home in a 20-point win. From one team of Tigers to the next, we have McNeese State versus Clemson. This game resulted in one of the few upsets this weekend, as the Cowboys sent the Tigers packing early. McNeese built a commanding lead in the first half and even held Clemson to just 1 field goal over a nearly 8-minute stretch. The Cowboys were firing on all cylinders and went in a half up by 18. Clemson didn't go away without a fight though, as guards Jaden Zachary and Chase Hunter combined for a total of 45 points. The Tigers pulled within 1 possession with just seconds left, but it wasn't enough. The Cowboys rode off into the sunset with a 69-67 victory. This upset marked the program's first ever tournament win. BYU dictated the tempo of this game early, jumping out to a double-digit lead and never looking back. VCU was stuck playing catch-up, but they did battle back in the second half and even cut the deficit to 5 with just under 4 minutes remaining. However, BYU's 38 points in the paint and a 42-30 rebound advantage were too much to overcome. The Cougars' 9-point win gave the team their first round of 32 appearance since 2011. In a matchup of Bulldogs, we have Georgia versus Gonzaga. However, we'd soon learn that these were 2 different breeds of dogs. Led by senior guard Khalif Battle, Gonzaga opened up to a 27-3 lead just 9 minutes into the game. His 24 points, including 9 of 13 from the field and 8 rebounds, propelled Gonzaga to an 89-68 victory. In another contest to find out who's the top dog, we have Wofford versus Tennessee. The Volunteers' defense was the story of this game, as they didn't allow any fast break points or points off turnovers throughout the entire game. Guard Chaz Lanier also had one of the better tournament debuts in recent memory, as he led all scorers with 29 points on 11 of 22 shooting. Tennessee went on to win this game by 15, sending them back to the round of 32. After starting conference play 0-5, the Razorbacks found themselves in a tournament matchup against the Kansas Jayhawks. This game went down to the wire, as the 2 teams went back and forth throughout the final few minutes. After the Jayhawks went up 67-64 at the 5-minute mark, the Razorbacks responded with a 7-0 run and never trailed again. Their 79-72 win marked head coach John Calipari's first NCAA tournament victory with the program. After upsetting the Auburn Tigers in last year's tournament, the Bulldogs look to repeat history against another SEC team. But the Aggies aren't the Tigers. A&M jumped out to an early 27-14 lead and held that advantage the entire way through. Junior center Pharrell Payne led the Aggies to a 9-point win. He scored a career-high 25 points and 10 rebounds, shooting an efficient 10 of 12 from the field. In this 11 vs 6 matchup, we saw Drake taking on Missouri. Bulldogs guard Bennett Sturts set the pace of this game as he led all scorers with 21 points. Drake established a 30-23 halftime lead and extended it to 15 points in the second half. Missouri responded by narrowing the gap to 52-51 with 4:28 remaining. However, the Bulldogs' season high of 13 steals proved insurmountable for the Tigers. Drake won by 10 points and advanced the round of 32 for the first time since 1971. UCLA was set to face off against Utah State in a battle to see who would take on the Volunteers. The story of this game was freshman center Ade Mara, as he recorded a stat line of 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 blocks in just 20 minutes of play. The Bruins defense held the Aggies to just 31% from the field, and UCLA walked away with a dominant 25-point victory. The Bruins advanced for the 4th time in the last 5 seasons. Omaha looked like this year's Cinderella team after starting off the game up 7-0. However, that would be as good as it would get for the Mavericks, as the Red Storm would outscore them 83-46 the rest of the way. St. John's guard R.J. Lewis Jr. led all scorers with 22 points, including 5 three-pointers. His 5 threes from beyond the arc tied a program record for most in an NCAA tournament game. The Red Storm's 30-point victory marked St. John's 31st win of the season, which also tied a program record. The Wolverines got off to a hot start in this one, beginning the game on a 10-0 run. Michigan would add to their momentum by taking a 14-point lead at halftime. However, UC San Diego mounted a strong second-half comeback and even briefly took the lead late in the game. Michigan responded with clutch shooting, including a pivotal three-pointer by Trey Donaldson. With just seconds left, the Tritons had an opportunity to tie the game, but Tyler McGee couldn't connect on his three-point attempt. Michigan escaped the game with a narrow three-point win. Despite their elite inside presence, Texas Tech set an NCAA record by attempting 46 three-pointers in the first round. Kerwin Walton led the Red Raiders with 8 made threes and even got a career-high 27 points. UNC Wilmington kept the game competitive, finishing the first half on a 15-3 run and trailed by just 4 points at halftime. However, the Red Raiders' offensive firepower proved too much in the second half as they walked away with a 10-point victory. This 9 vs 8 matchup lived up to the hype. Projected lottery pick VJ Edgecombe started the game slow, but ended up leading the Bears with 20 points. 16 of these came in the second half, including clutch free throws down the stretch. Bulldog sophomore guard Josh Hubbard outshined the NBA talent, scoring a game-high 26 points on 11 of 18 shooting. However, it wasn't enough to get Mississippi State over the hump. With 4 seconds left, Claudell Harris Jr. missed a potential game-tying 3, and the Bears advanced to the second round. The first half between Robert Morris and Alabama saw the Tide jump out to an early 10-point lead. As the first half progressed, the Colonials started to pick away at the lead and were down by only 4 at half. After trailing by double digits early in the second half, the Colonials mounted a 19-8 run that saw them take their first lead at 65-64. However, this would be short-lived. Alabama responded immediately with the Grant Nelson dunk that sparked a 13-3 run. From there, the Tide would hold on to win by a score of 90-81. Their All-American guard Mark Sears proved clutch, as 19 of his 22 points were scored in the second half. With Keyshawn Gilbert ruled out for the tournament, Lipscomb was a popular upset choice in the eyes of many. One of those eyes was not of the Cyclones. Iowa State's defense held Lipscomb to just 55 points, which was their lowest scoring output of the season. They forced 15 turnovers and limited the Bison at 36% shooting from the field. Cyclones' Joshua Jefferson had a near triple-double of 10, 8, and 8, and Iowa State won the game by a decisive 27 points. Memphis, who would be playing without key starters due to injuries, struggled to contain Colorado State's perimeter shooting. Kyan Evans led the Rams with a career-high 23 points and even set a Colorado State record for an NCAA tournament game with 6 threes. On the defensive end, the Rams held Memphis to just 38% shooting from the field and forced 14 turnovers. This 78-70 victory marked Colorado State's first advancement to the second round since 2013. The biggest question going into this contest was Cooper Flagg's health, as this was his first game back following a left ankle sprain. He looked every bit of unfazed, scoring 14 points in 22 minutes, while Tyrese Proctor led the Blue Devils with 19 of his own. Duke dominated from the moment of tip-off, as their defense held Mount St. Mary's to just 49 points on the entire day. Ole Miss looked as if they were going to run away with this game, as they led by as much as 22 points. However, the Tar Heels fought back. North Carolina mounted a strong comeback and even narrowed the gap to 2 points with just over a minute remaining. This is when Sean Padula took over. The guard hit a three-pointer to give the Rebels a 5-point lead with 52 seconds left and added in 2 more free throws to seal the victory. Julian Reese led the Terps against the Antelopes with 18 points, while freshman Derek Queen contributed a double-double of 12 points and 15 rebounds. The story of this game was the Terrapins' defense. They held Grand Canyon to just 49 points on 28% shooting. The 32-point thumping marked the largest margin of victory in Maryland's NCAA tournament history. The Gators dominated the boards in this matchup as they out-rebounded the Spartans 41-28. Their perimeter defense was also on full display as they held Norfolk State to just 14.3% shooting from 3. Walton Clayton Jr. and Elijah Martin combined for 40 points, securing the Gators' 26-point win against the Spartans. Troy, Wildcats, basketball, is this March Madness or High School Musical? The biggest key factor in this matchup was Kentucky's Otega Owea, as he filled up the stat sheet with 20 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. Amari Williams, who was playing through a back injury, contributed too, snatching 13 rebounds to go along with 4 assists in the Wildcats' victory. This win marked head coach Mark Pope's first NCAA tournament win with the program. Marquette's junior forward David Joplin left it all on the floor as he had a game-high 28 points. Despite his efforts, the Golden Eagles weren't able to withstand the combo threat of Donovan Dent and Nelly Jr. Joseph. The two combined for 36 points, including a pivotal 10-0 run in the second half to put the game away. The 9-point victory over Marquette gave the Lobos their first NCAA tournament win since 2012. With Augustus Marcialunas dealing with foul trouble, Jordan Ross came in clutch by scoring 15 points and recording 3 block shots. St. Mary's controlled tempo through most of this matchup, but Vanderbilt just wouldn't give up. The Gales led by 3 in the final moments and left the Commodores multiple opportunities to tie the game. However, Vanderbilt couldn't capitalize as they missed 2 potential game-tying threes, giving St. Mary's the victory. Arizona set the tone of this one early, with Jaden Bradley, Trey Townsend, and Caleb Love each hitting 3-pointers within the first 2 minutes. This early offensive burst contributed to a 10-point halftime lead and one they wouldn't let go of. The Wildcats dominated the paint in this contest, where they outscored Akron 48-20, won the rebounding battle by 31, and even blocked 9 shots. The Wildcats made quick work of the Zips and won by a convincing 28 points. The back-to-back champs' quest for a three-peat began with the showdown with the Sooners. It started off in the Huskies' favor as they took a 7-point lead in the half. The second half saw Oklahoma's Jeremiah Fears take over as he helped the Sooners capture the lead with 9 minutes left. However, it wouldn't be enough as UConn's Alex Caravan made multiple clutch baskets late down the stretch that gave the Huskies the win. This victory marked UConn's 13th consecutive NCAA tournament, tying the modern era record set by Duke in the early 90s. This game was highlighted by freshmen, as Xavier's Dalen Swain scored a career-high 27 points while Will Riley led Illinois with 22. The outcome of this game was decided in the paint as Illinois rebounded Xavier 45-25 and went a perfect 18 of 18 from the free throw line. Kasper Shakunis' near triple-double of 16 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds led Illinois to the victory. Michigan State dominated the boards in this matchup as they out-rebounded Bryant 54-29, including a season-high 21 offensive boards. While the Spartans started off slow, they picked it up in the second half, outscoring Bryant by 20. Athletic specimen Cohen Carr led the Spartans with a career-high 18 points and 9 rebounds to secure the 25-point win. Oregon established control early in this one, opening the game with 4 quick three-pointers to build a double-digit lead. Freshman guard Jackson Shelstad, who scored 15 of his 17 points in the first half, led the Ducks to a 19-point halftime lead. The second half was more the same, as Oregon held onto their lead and dialed in on the defensive end. The Ducks held the Flames to just 52 points on 21% shooting from beyond the arc. Oregon won the game by 29 and advanced the round of 32 for the second year in a row. No matter how much aura McNeese had, it wasn't enough to derail the Boilermakers. Purdue jumped out early, establishing a 38-20 halftime lead thanks to Trey Kaufman-Renn. The sophomore delivered 22 points and 15 rebounds, leading both teams in scoring. Purdue's defense held McNeese to just 62 points, and they ended up winning the game by 14. Arkansas took control of this one early, with Carter Knox scoring 7 of the team's first 14 points. The Razorbacks would carry this momentum the rest of the half as they led by 3 heading into the break. The Red Storm fought back and narrowed the deficit to just 2 points with 6 minutes remaining. That's as close as it would get, as St. John's missed their next 6 3-point attempts and went 1-9 down the stretch. Big East Player of the Year RJ Lewis Jr. was sat for the final 5 minutes by coach Rick Pitino, drawing questions from both fans and critics alike. While he had a rough night going 3 of 17, his play could have changed the outcome of this game. Instead, Arkansas moves on to the Sweet 16 for the 16th time in program history. The Aggies looked as if they had control for most of this game and even had a double-digit lead with just 10 minutes remaining. That's when Michigan decided to take over. Coming off the bench, Roddy Gale Jr. delivered a season-high 26 points, including 21 in the second half. Golden also chipped in with a 23-12 double-double of his own. Pharrell Payne for the Aggies led his team at 26 points, but went scoreless in the final 8 minutes. As a result, the Wolverines advanced to the Sweet 16 in Dusty May's first year at the program. After setting a tournament record for most threes attempted, the Raiders switched styles completely. Tech outscored Drake 48-26 in the paint and held a 33-25 rebound advantage throughout the entire game. The Red Raiders had 3 players score over 15 points, including a season-high 28 from Darian Williams. Texas Tech captured a 13-point win and will face off against Arkansas on Thursday night. The Blue Jays gave the Tigers a run for their money early on. 13 first-half points, including 3 three-pointers by Stephen Ashworth, had Creighton up by 2 at the break. It was a tale of 2 halves, though, as Auburn's Tahad Pettyford dropped 16 in the second half, including 8 in a pivotal 10-0 run. During this stretch, the Tigers held the Blue Jays scoreless for a total of 6 minutes and took a decisive 14-point lead. Auburn went on to win by 12 and is advancing to their first Sweet 16 since their 2019 Final Four run. BYU led for the majority of the second-round matchup thanks to 25 points by Richie Saunders. The game saw the Cougars lead by as much as 13 in the second half and was on the brink of a blowout. That's when Wisconsin's John Tonje sparked a second-half comeback by dropping a program record 37 points. In the closing moments with BYU ahead by 2, Tonje missed a potential game-tying shot. The Cougars escaped with the win and headed the second weekend for the first time in 14 years. LJ Cryer was the difference maker in this one, scoring 30 points, including 14 in the final 9 minutes. Gonzaga trailed by double digits at halftime, but rallied throughout the second half. The Bulldogs pulled within 1 with 20 seconds remaining, but clutch free throws and defensive stops by the Cougars helped them escape with a 5-point victory. Houston will now advance to the Sweet 16 for the 6th year in a row. Senior guard Chaz Lanier showed why experience matters in the big dance, as he led Tennessee with 20 points, including 4 of 5 from 3-point range. While offensively the guard shined, it was the defense that paved the way to victory for the Volunteers. Tennessee held the Bruins to under 60 points and 35% shooting from the field. UCLA attempted to make a late push, but Tennessee's clutch free throw shooting down the stretch was enough to hold the Bruins off. In a thrilling second-round matchup, UConn and Florida came down to the final minute. UConn led for the majority of this game, including a 10-point lead at one point in the first half. The Gators clawed back and showcased why they are a 1 seed. All-American Walton Clayton Jr. scored 13 of his 23 points in the final stretch, including 2 3-pointers to give the Gators a 6-point lead. Florida held on to win by 2 and ended the Huskies' quest for a three-peat. Cooper Flagg with only one eye, it doesn't matter. Blue Devils by 20. Duke was firing on all cylinders this game, scoring 1.48 points per possession on 64% shooting from the field. Tyrese Proctor achieved a career-high 25 points on 7 3-pointers to give the Devils a 23-point victory. This win marks 13 in a row for Duke and is their 21st win by at least 20 points this season. Kentucky's Kobe Bray played like Kobe Bryant by matching a career-high 23 points. The Wildcats won the turnover battle 14-5 in this one and capitalized on the advantage. Kentucky scored 26 of their 84 points off Illinois' mistakes and held on to win comfortably by 9. With this victory, Kentucky advances to face conference rival Tennessee in the Sweet 16. The Wildcats have already beaten the Volunteers twice this season. Can they make it a third? The first game woes of the Crimson Tide seemed to be a non-factor in this one. Offensively, we saw 6 players for Alabama score in double figures, while the defensive side held the Gales to just 21% shooting from deep. Alabama's talent was simply too much, as they became the first team to score 80 points against St. Mary's in over 2 years. The Crimson Tide will be dancing in the Sweet 16 for the third consecutive year in a row. This game boiled down to the last 22 seconds. The Terps led 70-68 after a pair of free throws by Julian Reese when the ball ended up in Nick Clifford's hands. Driving to the paint, he found it open Jalen Lake, who hit a 3 to give the Rams the lead with just seconds remaining. In a controversial no-travel call, Maryland's freshman center Derek Queen drove down the baseline. The freshman elevated and banked in a fadeaway jumper at the buzzer to send Maryland to the Sweet 16. After trailing to the Cyclones 13-5 early, Ole Miss went on a 20-2 run that saw them turn a 7-point deficit into a 28-17 lead. From there, they never looked back and maintained this lead throughout the rest of the game. The Rebels had 4 players score 15 or more points in the night, including 20 from first-round hero Sean Padula. Ole Miss went on to win this game by 13, making it to their second ever Sweet 16. New Mexico started this one off strong, leading 29-20 late in the first half. However, Michigan State responded with an 8-0 run to pull within 1 at the break. The second half saw the Spartans outscore the Lobos by 10 points, including a pivotal 7-0 run led by Jaden Akins. This would prove to be enough as the Spartans would hold on to win the game by 8. Michigan State's Tom Izzo achieved his 13th ever tournament victory after trailing at half, which is good enough for second all-time amongst head coaches. In a matchup between 2 previous Pac-12 foes, we saw the Ducks taking on the Wildcats. Early on, Oregon dominated, taking a 26-11 lead. Arizona then responded with 2 separate 9-0 runs in the first half to give them a 4-point advantage at the break. The second half saw the Wildcats keep their foot on the gas, as Caleb Love poured in 29 points to go along with 9 boards. Despite their growing lead, Oregon fought back and kept the game close into the final minutes. However, defensive stops and clutch free throws secured the win for the Wildcats. So there you have it, all this past weekend's madness packed into one vid. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments as always, and until next time, peace.